Hello everyone, it is I, the Fable of Fables, your new best friend. I'm reacting to even more Gundam nonsense. This time, Kakapro. Kakapro 31V1. I hope to God I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm pretty sure I'm not. I'm pretty sure I'm just saying your name. I'm not even gonna say it. Anyway, love you guys. Let's go. We're reacting to all Gundams of the 1 Year War and their pilots. So this is gonna be kind of interesting. I've always been kind of curious about the 1 Year War. I want to know why it's called that. Is it because it literally just lasted 1 year? If so, god damn, they went through a lot of stuff during that year, huh? I don't know. Let's see what happens, I suppose.
During the 1 Year War, there was only one word that would strike fear into the hearts of the Zeon soldiers: Gundam. Better known to many of them as the White Devil. The single mobile suit that seemed to be capable of turning the tide of the entire war. The single mobile suit that was the crowning jewel of the Federation's technology. The single mobile suit that Zeon could not defeat no matter how hard they tried. The single... Okay, look, you've seen how long this video is. Despite the Gundam's legendary status as the machine that saved the Federation during the 1 Year War, both in and out of universe, over the years, this singular machine has become a lot more than just a singular machine.
Yep.
And new ones are still being added.
Oh,
so
yeah.
today, I'll be listing all of the 1 Year War's Gundams and their most famous pilots. Starting off with the three originals. The RX-78-1 prototype Gundam, which was the actual first Gundam and was piloted by test pilot Feral Iha. Unfortunately, this thing got destroyed after Zeon raided Site 7.
Right.
Wait, did I just raid Shadow Legends? I'm sure.
No, none of that. None of that.
Hi. Back to our Gundams then.
None of that.
The RX-78-2, simply known as the Gundam, because it became the most famous mobile suit of the Federation, even overshadowing the fame of its pilot Amuro Ray. And while it is fair to say that it was initially the Gundam carrying Amuro, by the end of the war, it was very much the opposite, with Zeon pushing out units that were on par or even better than the RX-78-2, and yet Amuro was able to overcome them with relative ease. So, unsurprisingly, he became the number 2 Federation ace with 142 mobile suit and 9 ship kills. The RX-78-3 then would become known as the G3 and would mainly be used as a test bed for new technologies. For example, the magnet coating, a treatment for the joints of mobile suits that drastically increased their reaction time. This would later on also be applied to the RX-72 and other machines. Depending on the timeline then, we either don't know who the G3 pilot was during the 1 Year War, or it was the machine that Amuro used during the second half of the war. And this numbering scheme then would continue with the RX-78-4 and RX-78-5 Gundams. Two mostly identical units with mostly identical weapons and equipment. For example, the Hyper Beam Rifle and the Space Use Booster equipment. Where they differed was their signature weapon. The G4 was made to test out the Mega Beam Launcher and therefore got a more powerful reactor with a stronger cooling solution, whereas the G5 got a giant Gatling gun. And their pilots were Lewis Castle and Fort Romfellow respectively. A less successful Gundam then was the RX-78-6 Mudrock Gundam, a Gundam designed to fix the Gundam's main flaws. As an agile mid to close range unit, it lacked firepower and armor, so they turned it into a gun cannon instead. And while I do like the gun cannon, There's a reason why the gun cannon didn't become known as the Federation's Red Devil. Its pilot was Agar, who unfortunately didn't do the Mudrock any favors either.
Oh boy, that's so sad.
今度こそ仕留めさせてもらうぞジオン野郎ども
どうやら回収を済ませたようね。キャノン砲も使
How's
えて
this
いるようだ
time
し、
someone who's been saying
安定
that
してるわ。
was supposed to fight him?
どう戦えばいいの？
隠れても無駄だなんだ
Oh my god, he's bad. He's so bad.
これ以上部下はやらせん
And the final numbered Gundam was the RX-78-7 Gundam, also known as the 7th Gundam. Despite not actually being the 7th Gundam, but anyways.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And on top of that, you could also debate whether or not this classifies as a one-year Gundam, because despite its construction beginning during the war, it wouldn't be completed until sometime after the war, when it would be piloted by Sherry Allison. But throughout the war then, various side projects would pop up, resulting in more Gundams being produced, with one of the more famous side projects being the Full Armor Project, a project designed to fix the Gundam's main flaws. As an agile mid to close range unit, it lacked firepower and armor, so they decided
What the definition
Oh my god, what is this?
insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting
Oh my god, this dude's humor is stupid.
that is crazy.
a pursuit that originally led to the
The perfect Gundam. Good lord, look at this man's. He is so weighed down by stuff.
PF-78-1 Perfect Gundam, a completely over-the-top machine that was originally made for a manga about Gunpla, but later on somehow got adopted into the MSV series, making it somewhat official.
Oh,
But
boy.
even in this official setting, it was never
Why is that lady the perfect Gundam? What is going on, man? Oh lordy.
actually made and just served as a concept for the actual Full Armor Gundam, the FA-78-1. It got missile launchers, a twin beam cannon, a rocket cannon, and extra armor, complemented by an array of extra thrusters in the hopes of offsetting all of this added bulk. It didn't. Which is also why two very different stories exist surrounding this machine. In one version, the Federation realized the failure of this project and the machine was never built. Whereas in the other one, it was built and was piloted by Heinz Baer, the Federation's number 7 ace with 37 mobile suit and 2 ship kills. But despite maybe not existing, it did get further developed into 3 different units. One was the B-type after the war, which also may or may not have existed. Another one was the Full Armor Gundam ground type, which tried to address some of the Full Armor's flaws by giving it less armor and weapons so that it would be more agile, like the RX-78-2 was. This thing was scrapped while it was still just a simulation. And the third one then did get made. The FA-78-2 Heavy Gundam, piloted by Den Berserk. The Federation finally found the sweet spot between weapons, armor,
Heavy
and mobility.
Not gonna lie, kind of like the colors and the design was kind of interesting, especially the fact that it has a giant gun on its arm.
That they were so desperately looking for. And on top of that, the unit was also outfitted with the brand new and extremely sexy frame launcher. After the war then, a second unit would be produced that was outfitted with a very unique shield. And it would also be further developed into the Gunner Gundam, but again, this was after the war.
Made sense,
And
yeah.
actual true upgrade for the RX-78-2 then would come in the form of the RX-78 NT-1 Gundam NT-1, better known as the Alex. As
Oh, no,
Armor was
not the
awakening to
Alex.
its new type powers, the RX-78-2 was becoming increasingly incapable of keeping up with his reflexes. And because the Federation simply didn't have the new type know-how that Zeon did, they tried to do the best they could with the technology they had. They created the strongest mobile suit they could with a focus on lightning-fast response times, resulting in a mobile suit that was as deadly as it was difficult to pilot. And just to be sure, the machine got a set of Chobham armor because nothing screams mobility like extra bulk.
You regret saying that once I catch up. You'll regret saying that once I catch up to you. Oh lord.
And even a concept for a full armor version was drawn up, but fortunately this never made it past the simulation stages. Unless you follow the Gundam Katana manga. Unfortunately then, the machine wouldn't make it to Amuro, and would instead be used by test pilot Christina McKenzie. And depending on how much further you want to look than the anime, we can also find 1 or 2 prototypes for the Alex. One is very simply called the NT-1 Proto, and the only difference with the regular NT-1 is its color scheme, which is now based on that of the GIMS. This machine would be used for data gathering purposes. And the other one comes from a manga that is still being published, the G4, not to be confused with the RX-78-4 Gundam Unit 4. This machine would also be tested out by Christina McKenzie. Another sensible upgrade for the RX-78-2 then, which was also rumored to be meant for Amuro, was the Pixie Gundam. Playing to the strengths.
The Pixie Gundam, I know a little bit about it. It's very interesting unit from what little I understand. I don't know much, and I'm not gonna say it because knowing if I say something wrong, you guys are gonna bully me and be like, "Fable, you're wrong." Proceeds to say 10 whole paragraphs of why I'm wrong. Then I'm gonna cry because one, you said I was wrong, and then 2, you're making me read.
Of the RX-78-2, the Pixie was made to be as light as possible for maximum agility. 3 units were made, but unfortunately, just as with the Alex, the unit meant for Amuro never made it to him. Instead, it was piloted by Bork Cry, with other famous Pixie pilots being Fred Raber and Lilith Iden.
Ooh, that's a pretty cool looking unit with the weird weapon right there, huh?
A customized version with more armor and heavier weapons, turning it into a more all-rounder machine. And while 3 units produced might sound like a lot for a single Gundam type, this was still nothing compared to the 20 Gundam ground types that were produced halfway to 1-year war.
Jesus Christ,
With
guys.
Zeon still having the upper hand, and still no dedicated mass production mobile suits of their own, the Federation's ground forces were scrambling to produce anything that could stand up to the Zeon Zaku's. This led to limited production of the gun cannon, but also led to the creation of the Gundam ground type, a ground-use-only mobile suit that was cobbled together with spare parts from the original RX-78 units, and also new parts to hold everything together. And for being what they were, their performance was actually on par with that of the originals. There was only one problem. And no, this time it wasn't a full armor version. The ground-type Gundams had extremely limited spare parts because they were the spare parts. And on top of that, as the best weapons around at that time, they were rushed to the most heavily contested front lines where they wanted these machines to be active as much as possible.
Jesus, dude.
So this situation led to a lot of ground Gundams receiving non-standard field repairs, like the affectionately named Gym Head used by Karen Joshua, or ad hoc upgrades like the Slave Wraith custom used by Travis Kirkland, who later upgraded it to a full armor version, because fuck it, why not? Or the Gundam Re-Rage used by Ralph Zapka of the Red Giant 3rd MS team, a team that also used heavily customized ground gyms. Or, in other cases, both would happen at the same time, like with the Easy 8. Shiro Amada's ground type got heavily damaged in the fight against the Apsaris II, so in addition to fixing it up, they also made some choice upgrades to the machine while they were at it, things like extra armor and better antennas. Or a few units were also used for highly unethical new type experiments, better known as the Blue Destiny units.
Oh god.
In an attempt to get normal humans to perform on the same level as new types, Dr. Clust Moses developed the exam system. And once the Federation got their hands on this system, they first tested it out on a modified gym ground type called the Blue Destiny Unit 0.
That sounds bad. That sounds
But
very
it
bad.
was deemed to be not powerful enough as a base unit for this powerful system, so instead, it was transferred to a customized Gundam ground type. To save time though, the head of the gym, which contained the main components for the exam system, was simply transplanted as is. This unit would become known as Blue Destiny Unit 1, and after a successful trial run, 2 more units would be produced, this time with a Gundam head and some other small changes. These units were appropriately named Gundam Blue Destiny Unit 2 and 3, and were identical to each other, except for the color scheme and the settings of their exam system. Originally, Unit 2 was meant as the combat unit, and Unit 3 was meant as the spare unit, but circumstances would see both mobile suits on opposite sides of the front line. And according to a certain manga, Blue Destiny Unit 1 itself would also be upgraded and turned into different configurations. One was the Blue Destiny Unit 1 Stealth, which focused on stealth by giving the machine new sensors, redesigned chest armor, and a special stealthy coat of paint. All of which was first tested.
Sorry, I'm not saying much. I don't really know what to add
out
to a lot
on
of
the
this
gym
now.
stealth.
Again,
And the other one was the Blue Destiny Unit 1 Full Armed.
Jesus.
Rather than
Look at
trying
that
to
thing.
deck it out in armor, the machine only got a few armor upgrades and would instead mainly receive new weapons, like a trial version of the Gun Cannon 2's beam cannon, the ground type missile launchers, and 2 sets of the twin beam cannons used by the gym Dominance. This equipment would then later on be carried over to the Blue Destiny Unit 3, resulting in the Blue Destiny Unit 3 Full Armed. Unit 0 was piloted by Claire Kilmer, Unit 1 and 3 by Yu Kajima from the Guinea Pig team, and Unit 2 was stolen and subsequently piloted by Nimbus Sturzen. And the most recent addition to the Ground Gundam variants then is the Slife Rail from UC Engage. It was heavily modified with covert operations in 4C areas in mind, and it also conveniently changes the Ground Gundam's original setting from exactly 20 units being produced to over 20 units being produced. And the final true Gundam then is the RX-78-2 Gundam Real Type, but despite
Gundam
being
Real
called
Type?
real, it only appeared in a computer simulation at the tail
Wait, why is it called the Real Type? I'm actually curious. That's an interesting name
end
for
of the
a,
1-year
for a
war.
Gundam.
Not because this was a failed unit or something, but because that's what it was meant to be. A computer simulation to gather more information on the Gundam and where to go from here. Like, I wonder if this led to the Full Armor project, or if this was a response to the failed Full Armor project. But finally then, for the mainline Universal Century, we also have 2 units that are called Gundams, which are actually conversions from other machines. a ball pilot by the name of Yumon Samon
Look at him.
claims that he modified his ball with the Gundam face
Look at that
and
man.
that he
Trust
actually
me, bro.
managed to book great results in it. One time, it was also spotted, and Zeon falsely believed that this giant Gundam head was connected to an equally large Gundam body, supposedly leading to the development of the equally large Perfect Zeong to fight against this supposed giant Gundam.
Dude, that's
More
so
realistic
freaking
then
funny.
was the RAG-71 G1 Gundam Marine type, also known as the Waterproof Gundam or the Gundiver. And as
Dude,
its
that's
model
so
number
friggin'
indicates,
funny.
this was actually a heavily customized and upgraded Aqua Gym, which was then rechristened
Aqua
as a Gundam, also making it the first in-universe example of the question, how much do you have to modify a gym before it becomes a Gundam?
Call me.
Unfortunately,
oh my Lord,
though,
what did that just
despite
say?
the first in-universe example
what
of the
did that say?
question, how much do you have to modify a gym before it becomes a
Call
Gundam?
me a gym one more time, see what happens. Oh, brother, calm your ass down.
Unfortunately, though, despite being a unit for ace
Calm your gym
pilots,
looking ass down.
its story is very much the same as the Aqua Gym. With underwater combat being less important, we barely have any combat records of these machines, and the one that we do know of is from UC 0096, where it did put up a good fight, but it was no match for the more advanced Zezulus used by the sleeves. And talking about the gyms, I did forget a few of them in my All Gyms of the 1 Year War video.
I need to look at
With
that
the most
video. Or unless I
egregious
already
one
have.
being the Gym Spartan, which is actually one of my more
Spartan.
favorite gyms out there. It is a development of the Gym Command and would serve as a prototype for the later Gym Sniper 2. Although, unlike its successor, the Gym Spartan would mostly focus on close-range combat and was deployed mostly in jungle environments, which is also why their standard color is moss green. Its most well-known pilot is Captain Gray, and a customized version would be infamously used by Renato Jeremy, the leader of the Black Dog team. Its head was upgraded with a Gundam-grade antenna and dual sensors, and its mobility was also slightly improved. Going back to the original Gym Spartan then, in its first appearance, a unit called the Gym Scout was also mentioned, but until someone pointed it out, I never noticed that it was also present in the picture. So, at least for me, its camouflage worked. Unfortunately, that is all the information we have on this thing. It looks like a Gym Command that has been upgraded with a better main camera and got an extra antenna on the back of its head, all presumably to make it a better scouting unit. Something some people then also commented about was the Gym Gatherode, which is actually just a pre-production version of the Gym that was supposed to be identical to the standard Gym, despite its different model number. Now, it does get some unique capabilities later on, but as an SD game with parallel worlds, this thing clearly does not belong in the main timeline.
Makes
And
sense.
its most famous pilot is you, the player.
Me.
And talking about unofficial machines, there's also the Gym Diver from Kondo Kazuhisa's Vanishing Machine manga. A different take on the Aqua Gym that was developed at around the same time and actually reminds me a
know the
bit
Aqua
of the
Gym.
Gym Marine type that was used in Gundam Thunderbolt. And
Thunderbolt.
then just as with the Gym video, let's quickly talk about the alternate universes for completionist's sake. In Gundam Thunderbolt, we get a very different and much more successful take on the full armor Gundam. It had an overwhelming amount of weaponry, extra body armor, and 4 shields instead of the normal 1.
Jesus Christ.
Combined with a powerful backpack and extra thrusters that were able to compensate adequately for the added bulk. All of this then resulted in an extremely powerful machine that was piloted to great success by E.O. Fleming. The Gundams from the Origin, meanwhile, stuck closer to their mainline counterparts, with a lot of them either being similar or almost completely identical, just in a different style. Units like the Full Armor Gundam, Heavy Gundam, Gundam Marine type, and the RX-7802, which could now also equip a back-mounted cannon. Slightly more different then are the RX-7801 prototype Gundam and the RX-7802 Gundam rollout colors. The first one has a visor and armor more similar to the finalized Gundam and is piloted by Lieutenant Wirtz, and the second one takes elements from the rollout versions of both the RX-7801 and 2 from the mainline. Completely different then is the Gundam local type line, a predecessor unit to the Gundam ground type, which according to this official development timeline does exist in the Origin timeline as well. The first unit of this local type then was constructed with spare parts of the RX-7801 and was made for testing the Gundam's performance on Earth. Later on then, this unit would be repainted in blue and white and was used for underwater testing. A second unit is also rumored to have existed, but was never officially acknowledged by the Federation. This unit was painted in much darker colors and was nicknamed the Gundam Local Type North American Type. And while we don't know who the pilot was, it was said that this unit performed extremely well and was feared by the Zeon troops on the North American front. Feedback of both local types would then be used to develop the Gundam FSD, or the Gundam Full-Scale Development, essentially a proposed mass production version of the Gundam. And in the Origin timeline, it would be this unit that served as the basis for the Full Armored Gundam and Heavy Gundam. And then finally, we have a unit that may or may not be in its own version of the Universal Century, the Gundam from Requiem for Vengeance.
Oh dear.
And, well, that is literally everything we know about this thing at the moment that I'm making this video. So, this is where it ends for all of the Gundams that appeared during the 1-year war. But if you think that I forgot an important one, let me know down below and
There's
I will
so
have it
many,
listed
man.
in the top
Good
comment.
lord.
So don't forget to check out Raid Shadow Legends.
No. Guys, like this kind of content, do like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you want me to react to any more stuff. Just know I'm gonna have to take it very slow and work very hard to get all your requests. Jesus, there's so many. There's so many, chat. I'm dying. I'm dead. Blah. Guys, if you want to, on a much more serious note, if you want to help me, please feel free to donate to my Ko-Fi. My family and I could use all the help we can get. I love you all. I will see you all later. Bye.